These 3 habits are silently killing your sleep. Number 1 is not going to be a surprise, and this is caffeine. With caffeine, it can be a very beneficial thing for health, a lot of data suggests, but it can also be quite negative for health if it's used too much or in the wrong way. So caffeine has a half-life of 6 hours and a quarter life of 12 hours, which means that if you have an espresso at midday, then in theory, about a quarter of that will still be in your system 12 hours later at midnight. The implications for this are that a lot of people who drink caffeine do so into the afternoon because that's when they have their most pronounced slump in energy. But even if they don't necessarily realize it, it can have a drastic impact on sleep. And you might not have an issue getting to sleep, you might not have an issue staying asleep, but you can guarantee that if we put you in a lab and hooked your brain up to all kinds of different machines, it would show that your sleep would be fragmented and that the architecture of the sleep stages wouldn't be as it should be in terms of the right balance of REM, deep sleep, etc. So for best practice, I recommend cutting it out 10 to 12 hours before you plan on going to sleep and limiting yourself to around about 250 to maybe 300 milligrams a day, but maybe not every day if you are hitting the upper limit of that threshold. Don't forget that caffeine doesn't magically make us less tired, it just suppresses adenosine, which is the thing that tells us that we are tired. But if you are regularly feeling tired, take that as a signal that you do need to get more rest and you can't continue to just plaster over it with caffeine. Number 2 is going to be light. Light is the number 1 cue for our circadian rhythm, which is our body's internal clock. And this is very important for our sleep as well as many other biological functions. By now, most people are aware that it's not really the best thing to blast ourselves with light from a screen on an evening. And whilst this is very important, a lot less people are aware of the benefits of getting light, most importantly sunlight, in our eyes as early as we can in the day for as long as we can. That's because getting morning sunlight within about 30 to 60 minutes of waking is the best way to set our circadian rhythm, which not only increases our energy levels during the day, but makes it easier for us to fall asleep at night time. In winter, I sometimes use what's known as a SAD lamp, which blasts you with about 10,000 lumens of light, which can be a good little hack, which actually has some good data behind it to suggest that it may even help offset seasonal affective disorder. As for on an evening, I recommend limiting blue light as much as you can after the sun goes down. Obviously this will vary from summer to winter, but within on average I would say about 2 to 3 hours before bed, you ideally want to put on some type of blue light blocking glasses, use only candles or red lights throughout the house, and use minimal screens if possible. This is because the blue light from screens mimics the blue spectrum light we get during the day, and this spectrum of light suppresses our melatonin, which is the hormone that tells us that it's time to go to sleep. Conversely, red light is something that we typically would only see as the sun was setting, or we'd get small amounts of it emitted from a campfire. So biologically, our bodies have evolved to understand that blue light means wakefulness and red light means time to go to sleep. It wasn't until the Industrial Revolution, when we started to see artificial light everywhere, that humans had their biological circadian clock distorted to the point where so many people nowadays have massive issues with sleep and with getting enough rest. The next one is going to be food and drink. A lot of people don't realize that after eating, you want to leave about 2 hours before bed so that our blood sugar levels don't adversely impact our sleep. And this is something that gets overlooked a lot, I feel, when it comes to sleep hygiene. We hear a lot about blue light, we hear a lot about caffeine, but we don't hear a lot about when we cut off food. Equally, we want to make sure that within a couple hours of bed, we're ideally only sipping liquids as and when needed so that we're not going to have to get up and use the toilet in the middle of the night. And whilst we're on this topic, obviously we all know that eating highly processed and sugary foods is not going to be good for us. It's going to upset our gut, it's going to upset our hormones, it's going to upset our energy levels, and if you have them close to bed especially, it's certainly going to impact your sleep negatively too. But one that a lot of people also overlook is the profound impact that alcohol has on our sleep. So I think we can all agree that having maybe a couple of drinks every now and then is not going to be bad for health in terms of the overall picture if we are doing things right the rest of the time. But even having one drink a day can have a massively negative impact on sleep because it disrupts sleep architecture, it suppresses REM sleep, and it fractures our deep sleep, which is going to lead to us feeling less cognitively and physically restored. Those are the 3 habits that I believe could be silently killing your sleep. If there's anything you feel like I've missed off, or if there's anything that you agree or disagree with, feel free to pop it in a comment down below and I look forward to checking that out. Thank you for your time and I'll hopefully see you in the next one.